It's 4 in the morning. People are already in the queue to get into Billingsgate market, only to buy fresh fish. This market receives deliveries of fish before any other market in London, from many other places in the UK and all over the world. Sea bass from Aberdeen, Turkey and Greece. Lobsters from Canada, even all the way from Argentina. From the entrance, a strong fish smell is off-putting and makes me frown even before getting in the market. Walking through Billingsgate Market feels a little bit different from walking through a supermarket. Billingsgate Market is more grotesque, rough, chilling, and can feel the smell of death from fish faces. When you walk around the supermarket, everything is beautifully displayed. All those fresh fruits and vegetables, nicely packed meat and fish, but in the end, it's all the same dead bodies lying on the shelves. Among dead bodies, people still try to find the best quality one by looking, touching, poking, and checking their gills. Once they finish checking, they are put it in a big plastic bag, as if they put the vegetables in it. Both hands grip the bag tightly to hold their weight. You can easily imagine how heavy they are by the way they are holding. And the bags are shaped by the fish in it. Whenever the ice box gets empty, sellers quickly open a new box and restock it with new dead fish. I tried to find salmon, and it is very easy to find them in the market. Almost every stall has at least 1 or 2 boxes of salmon. The price tags explain how much they are. Some of them are displayed as Scottish salmon. When I asked seller which area in Scotland they are from, they were bothered or reluctant to tell me. I wasn't sure whether they literally have no clue or they don't want to tell me how and why they ended up here. One day, I read a review on Tesco online supermarket once. This customer only buys Scottish salmon since he saw the documentary about Norwegian farm salmon. But how would we know if the Scottish salmon would be better when we don't know which farm they used to swim in? People are always fascinated with the creatures of salmon and hear about their great journey in their life. The Scottish salmon especially has always been one of the historic symbols of Scotland. Wild salmon swimming up to the lake to be back home from the ocean represent the spirit of Scotland. So commercial brands and the Scottish government knew that it would be a very profitable business, and they made a confidential plan for farm salmon cultivation to increase their market share of the global salmon industry in the 1970s. And they constructed several things to appeal more to customers during this process. You might wonder how farm salmon are different from wild salmon. They have a nice orange color and marvelous pattern. I brought them to some people and asked them which one is wild salmon, and some of them chose farm salmon as a wild salmon. What an irony. Actually, you have to see them closely to notice it. If they have short heads and round tails and gills poking out from the cover, they are not wild salmon. Their bodies are curved and skin is damaged. A clearer white pattern represents that it's fed more saturated fat. The more fat they have, the tastier it looks. High levels of omega-3 in farm salmon is mainly from soya and GM crops that have plant-based omega-3. Aren't you curious about color? It is given the orange color just a few weeks before they are harvested. Companies choose the color with the color chart and match the color with wild salmon. It is like, let's make it more orange color. Then you can have a more vibrant orange color. And they circulate in the same tank and pen millions of times until they are harvested, while wild salmon explore oceans and lakes. They are given extra chemicals and antibiotics to endure marine environments. And now, as you can guess, they are everywhere. They are delivered in markets every day, raw and fresh at a cheap price. They can just produce millions of them in the pen. In the year 2020, Scotland sold 200,000 tons of farmed salmon in total. Now you might want to eat real salmon, but well, can we? In the past, salmon was too common in Scotland, so people who are employees of landowners who had livers had to insist that they wouldn't have to eat more than a certain amount of salmon in a week, because they were too sick of eating salmon. However, over the last 30 years, the survivors of wild salmon at the sea has certainly dropped very strongly. One of the main causes of this is global warming, of course, but farmed salmon is another prominent influence. In general, the experts say that one salmon reaches the sea out of 100 eggs. That's a good survivor. But from one precious salmon out of 100 eggs, salmon farms add up to 40% of loss. Ridiculous. Now only 300,000 wild salmon are swimming in Scotland's seas and lakes, and the number of salmon in a single farm is larger than this number. By the way, did you know that omega-3 from salmon is originally from algae? Wild salmon eat prawn, krill, that eat algae that contains omega-3. Don't you think it is weird why salmon is known to be the best source of omega-3, even though algae is the best way to take it? In fact, algae was widely used for the recipe in the past to intake omega-3 like this cooking show.
Cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, and when all the noodles have floated, soak them into the cold water to get a nice and chewy texture before you take them out. You'll be able to enjoy delicious algae noodles.
So, how is the farmed salmon the reason for wild salmon degradation? To be honest with you, I have to tell you that sea lice is a very natural parasite. People were delighted to see a few sea lice when they caught salmon in the lake back in the day, because it meant to be fresh and taste wonderful. The only thing they've done to the farmed salmon is that they reacted to the density of the fish and the condition of the fish in the pen. The number of sea lice shoot up dramatically due to salmon farming, and they attack the wild salmon who pass through where the salmon farms are and kill them. The loudspeakers installed in the pen frighten seals away that would like to eat farmed salmon, and farmers are allowed to shoot seals until the beginning of this year. Dolphins and porpoises also have been so stressed out to hear it, and they stopped coming near the roaches. Very recently, the governments had to stop them from putting loudspeakers without license, since one of the fish exporting countries, America, is not happy to disturb dolphins and porpoises. But still, none of them talk about the seals' warfare. Antibiotics, pesticides to kill sea lice are very harmful to crustaceans and fisher communities who catch lobsters, prawn, have nothing to catch in their area anymore. Well, then where do all these prawns come from? Fishmongers quietly told me that they are from China. Although so many issues are revealed, the industries are planning to make it double in size by 2030. Especially the River Clyde, just outside of Glasgow. This area is allowed to get a license to produce 25,500 tons, a little more than 10% of the national total. However, they are aiming to expand to more salmon farms in 2 years. It's not only government and commercial brands who are involved in the industry. The RSPCA, Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Assured Accreditation Scheme, RSPCA makes £500,000 a year from putting their logo on farm salmon packages. Don't you think someone or some people, some group, have to do something to rectify these issues? In March 2021, an Anthropocene designer group named Flix recently launched a lab in London. Their aim is to find a way to detoxify for humans and farm salmon. This group found out that algae can be the main resource to cure farm salmon, as it gives pure marine nutrients back to them. It can also help humans to detox their bodies who consume farm salmon often. Algae is the bottom of the food chain. Omega-3 is made by algae. So like our old generations did, we can cut the middle stage, which is farm salmon, and directly consume algae if it is for omega-3. This group also encourages people to harvest their own algae at home on their YouTube channel, What You Eat is What You
Hello
Are.
everyone, welcome to our channel. What you eat is what you are. I'm the host. Today we have the honor to invite a research member from Flix team, Lei. Their team is studying the feasible scheme of replacing salmon with algae and has successfully developed a set of recipes. However, when it comes to the consumption of algae, I'm a little unfamiliar. So could you give us a detailed introduction?
Yes, that's the interesting part. We did some tests about grow algae at home. It's very convenient. You can see the whole growing process. This will give you a sense of achievement as well. This is the algae that we have been growing for 2 weeks. You can see its color here. We have made algae status color chart, which is easy for you to compare the maturity of algae. The normal and healthy color should be the color with a circle in the middle.
So these other colors on both sides mean that algae is not healthy?
The lighter color on the top indicates that algae has not reached the harvest level, while the darker color on the bottom is not recommended to be extracted and eaten.
So that's how to
On
judge
this
whether
video, they introduce a few recipes that you can follow easily by using algae. Also, synthetic salmon food using algae would be another choice to decrease the consumption of farm salmon. I know, it is very depressing, and somehow I wish I would have never wanted to know. The salmon on your plate might never look the same to you. Humans have consumed polluted nutrients through farm salmon. Farm salmon are still alive in the pan, but they are dead at the same time. Wild salmon are another sacrificed creature that we might not see again in near future. Tons of crops are harvested for salmon feed. Seals are killed, dolphins and porpoises are tortured. Lobster, prawn, seabed creatures are no longer able to live on seabed near the farms. Coastal communities are losing their jobs. You could say that all of them losing something. All of them in the area. What we really need to do in this position is to know exactly what we eat, what is happening, and take it seriously about it. We all know that the strongest change comes from small action. Now, look at the salmon again. What do you think?